One of the names of the tribulation period is a day of trouble and distress. Zephaniah 1 verse 15. COVID-19, mandatory Vs, threats to the fire of the un-Vs are causing trouble and distress for millions of U.S. citizens. Something must be torn down or destroyed before it can be built back, and it seems obvious that the deep state is deliberately trying to tear down the U.S. On September 13, 2021, Gary Bauer reported that the first 8 months of Biden's administration have produced record illegal immigration, record debt and deficits, record inflation, surging crime, surging cases, and the Taliban's humiliating defeat of the U.S. Understand that the deep state is desperately trying to replace America's leading role in the world with a godless world government by 2030 or sooner. Know that the Bible clearly teaches there will be a godless world government led by a satanically inspired man called the Antichrist in the future, according to Daniel 7 and Revelation 13. God does not have to abide by the 2030 date. He can slow down world government, speed it up, or let the globalists have it on their own time schedule. On September 25, 2015, the UN voted to establish a world government by 2030, and their vote went into effect on January 1st, 2016. God is restraining the Antichrist and Satan's godless world government, and it cannot take place before the church is removed by the rapture. But when the church is removed, sudden destruction will come upon this unbelieving world, according to 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3. If God lets Satan and his followers establish their godless world government by 2030, the rapture will be before 2030. Many prophecy teachers, including myself, believe there is a gap or period of unknown length between the rapture and the tribulation period. Let's say that gap is 1 to 8 years long. The rapture could be 1 to 8 years before 2030, suggesting anywhere from 2021 to 2029. Here are more signs that the tribulation is approaching. 1. Concerning the New World Order, or the world government. On September 13th, it was reported that UN Secretary General Guterres released a document titled Our Common Agenda that calls for these things: a new UN-led world order, a new agenda for peace, a new financial system, a digital one that allows for one world currency, and the tracking of all buying and selling. Gutierrez wants to strengthen global governance in our troubled climate change suffering world. Gutierrez wants a new, more relevant UN, in his words, a multilateralism with teeth. In Bible words, Gutierrez wants leaders from several nations, 10 kings, to be given the power to force globalism on the whole world under the false teaching that the world is troubled and distressed by climate change. Gutierrez wants world leaders to hold a global summit of the future in 2023 to study ways to strengthen global governance, make world government more powerful, and make sure global policies are being enforced. Gutierrez called this his new agenda for peace. The Antichrist will come on the scene as a man of peace. Gutierrez wants the G20, leaders of the world's 20 leading economies, to restructure the global financial system. Concerning the kings of the East, on September 8th, a Chinese state-run newspaper published an op-ed suggesting there will soon be a hostile military confrontation between the U.S. and China on America's doorsteps, and the U.S. will lose. Following the Taliban's defeat of the U.S. in Afghanistan, America's enemies are no longer afraid to challenge America's military. 3. Concerning the battle of Gog and Magog, lying and deception, on September 9th, it was reported that Ron Dermer, the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., said the U.S. and international community say they will prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, but they will allow it to happen if Israel doesn't act. It's sad to realize that the UN, UE, and US cannot be relied upon to keep their word, but it is true. Recall America's promises to Afghanistan, US citizens there, etc. On September 13th, it was reported that experts at the UN International Atomic Energy Agency have concluded that Iran will have enough enriched uranium to produce one nuclear warhead in roughly 1 month. Concerning the Mark of the Beast, despite promising he would not mandate the V's, on September 9th, Biden issued an executive order mandating all federal employees get the V in 75 days or lose their job. Several highly respected prophecy teachers believe this is a forerunner of mandatory requirements to take the Mark of the Beast, and the loss of one's job, if they don't comply, is a forerunner of denying people the right to buy and sell. 5. Concerning the coming global economic collapse, on September 10th, it was reported that the wholesale food prices are up 12.7% in the past year, with beef prices up almost 60%. Energy prices are up 32%, and the Biden administration is pushing another $3.5 trillion stimulus package that will cause more inflation. An economic collapse in the U.S. would probably trigger a global collapse. 6. Concerning the decline of America, on September 8th, it was reported that the National Archives Records has placed a harmful content warning label on the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. According to them, some of the documents may reflect outdated, biased, offensive, and possibly violent views and opinions. With the President of the U.S. and others ignoring the Constitution, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, calling conservative Christians domestic terrorists, why should we expect otherwise? 7. According to the Bible, Israel will be hated by all nations at the end of the age. On September 11th, it was reported that a spokesman for the Taliban said that the terrorist group has taken over Afghanistan and is willing to establish relations with every nation on earth, including the U.S., but one, the Jewish state of Israel. The accuracy of God's word is truly amazing. 8. Concerning population control, it is being reported that leaders want to bring in a world government and reduce the population of the earth because they are troubled and distressed that the world's growing population will deplete the world's resources. Don't be troubled and distressed by overpopulation. God will protect the bride, the church, from overpopulation with the rapture and greatly reduce the population of the earth during the tribulation period. Instead of the church accepting a population reduction through abortion, euthanasia, death, etc., the church should get the gospel out to make the population reduction as big as possible when the rapture takes place. Are you rapture ready?